When I returned to Moscow in 1991, my mother fainted at the doorway. She didn't recognize me. And the truth is, I barely recognized myself. In front of her stood a gray-haired woman, thin, scarred, wearing a worn headscarf. But when she looked at me, she wasn't seeing her daughter. She was looking at a stranger. I opened my mouth to say, "Mom." Instead, I spoke in Dari. 11 years, 4,000 days, in Afghanistan. They declared me dead in 1981. There was a funeral. No body, just a photograph. My fiancé remarried. My father died believing his daughter never made it home. And somewhere in the mountains, I was still alive. This is the story of how a university student went abroad with dreams and became war property, and why coming home was harder than surviving captivity. It started in November 1979, Moscow State University. I was 22, studying Eastern languages, fluent in Farsi, dreaming of diplomacy. When they asked for volunteers to work in Afghanistan, I signed immediately. 6 months abroad, professional experience, a perfect future. My father begged me not to go. He had survived World War II. He looked at me and said, "That's where a real war begins." I laughed. I thought I was invincible. December 7th, 1979. Snow, falling outside Sheremetyevo Airport. I smiled at the clouds from the airplane window. I thought I would be back by summer. I had no idea it would take 11 years. Kabul smelled like dust and tension. They told us there was conflict. I didn't believe it. Not really. 3 months later, we were sent north. 7 people, 2 armored vehicles, 1 truck, a narrow mountain pass. March 7th, 1980. The explosion came first, then the gunfire, from above, from everywhere. The first vehicle was gone instantly. Smoke, screams, metal tearing, the smell of blood. We were surrounded, outnumbered, and then darkness. I woke up being dragged across stone, my hands tied, my head bleeding, bearded faces staring down at me. A rifle butt struck my shoulder, and a voice spoke Russian. "You belong to us now." That was the last time I heard my own language for months. The first months were not living, they were surviving. Chains, 1 piece of bread a day, cold nights, interrogations, beatings. I tried to escape once. They caught me before sunrise, broke 2 ribs, knocked out a tooth, and showed me another woman, her face destroyed for trying the same. That was the moment I understood. There was no rescue coming, no exchange, no negotiation, only one choice: die or adapt. I chose to adapt. I perfected their language, treated wounds, healed children, stopped bleeding, delivered babies. I became useful, and usefulness meant protection. 3 years later, the commander made me an offer: become his 4th wife, or return to chains. I said yes, not because I accepted him, but because I chose life. 6 months later, I felt the sickness. I was pregnant. I cried that night, not from shame, from fear. But when my son was born, something inside me changed. His name was Yusuf, and he was innocent. Then came a daughter, then another. I sang them Russian lullabies, softly, so no one else would hear. I whispered, "Moscow, snow, home." They didn't understand the words, but they slept in my arms. In 1987, I heard the news on a small radio. The Soviet Union was withdrawing. Troops were leaving. That was the moment hope died. Because if the army was leaving, no one was searching for me. I had already been buried once, when the commander was killed in a local power struggle. Everything changed. Without him, I was nothing. I was cast out of the house. That same night, the village was attacked. Gunfire, chaos, flames. I took my 3 children and ran into the mountains. No food, no map, just instinct. We walked for days, begging for bread, sleeping under freezing skies. I no longer knew which country I belonged to. The Soviet embassy was gone. The country I left no longer existed. And I was a ghost in both worlds. Somewhere in Kabul, I found people who helped former captives. Quietly, secretly. They looked at my scars. They listened to my Russian. They wrote down my mother's address. And one morning, we left. Through Pakistan, through borders that didn't feel real, into a country with a new name. Russia. When I knocked on the apartment door, my mother opened it. She stared at me, not with joy, not with recognition, with confusion, fear, disbelief. And then she collapsed. The hardest part wasn't the chains, not the hunger, not the beatings, not even the mountains. The hardest part was standing in front of my own mother and realizing the daughter she remembered had died in 1980, and the woman standing there was someone else. You can survey